Successfully navigating a church transition is rarely easy, especially when it's a pastoral transition. It's typically difficult on the pastor, the successor, the team, and the congregation. However, there are helpful principles that can help you navigate through church change, pastoral transition, or replacing long-term leaders. If you're the new guy, the fact of the matter is you're not the other person. This is the problem. The problem is not that you're you. And the problem is not that the other leader is who they are. The problem is that you are not that person. Consequently, if you're the new guy, you will be compared to the previous leader. It's just a natural thing. During church transition, it's going to happen and it is okay. Everything from your leadership style, your personality, and the way you communicate will be stacked against that previous leader. And while this may not seem fair, it's entirely normal. We are all creatures of habit, and most people will get comfortable, adapt, and adjust over time to new leadership. And in the midst of these transitions, it's not necessarily that what you're doing as the new guy is terrible, it's just different. Different isn't always easy. For many people, different often means uncomfortable. And so I want to share 5 principles that will help you navigate church and pastoral transitions successfully, even when it's difficult. The first principle is this, is that leaders need to understand that conversations are better than rumors. If you're part of a church transition team or you're helping to replace a long-term leader, you've got to decide that you're going to talk about things openly. You must plan on having conversations. Realize that allowing others to ask questions and to share their feelings about the previous leader, the successor, and the transition is better than having them share them with others. Plus, engaging in conversation gives you the opportunity to share your heart within this transition. Transparency is a huge deal. If you or your team stay secluded or avoid difficult conversations, people will begin to form their own opinions about the transition and talk about them with others. Having open, honest discussions will help ensure that the narrative is healthy and that everyone avoids rumors. In the middle of transition, especially for the new leader, it's vital to remember that most of the people there have been there longer than they have and that they've made contributions that you haven't. They've been a part of paving the way for the church or organization to get to where it is in its current state. Therefore, it's critical to realize that these people are not enemies, but they're your allies. Value these people. A conversation is the best way for building a bridge between what they've done and where you want to go next. The second principle is to work hard to build trust and not walls. Trust ultimately is confidence. And listen, people may trust that you're not a bad person or that you have good morals, but they're also asking, can I follow their leadership during this change, during this transition? Will they let me down if I put my confidence in them to lead? We've all probably heard it this way, that trust equals consistency over time. Therefore, the transition team and the new leader must be patient and remember that building trust is a process. The other option is to build walls, and you do not want this. If the church transition team or the new leader is insecure, you'll demand trust immediately and become frustrated when people are slow to extend it. This expectation will always have negative consequences. Both sides will begin building walls that you may not be able to visibly see, but you know are very real, and you can feel and sense the tension that is building through these walls being built. Honoring one another, practicing patience, and staying consistent are powerful ways to infuse your church or organization with the core values that can help carry the entire team through this transition and change. If trust equals consistency over time, you must do what you say you're going to do. Repeatedly have conversations with people, not about people. The quicker you establish trust, the faster your church and organization can make progress. Everything can continue moving in the right direction. The third principle is allowing others to ask questions will lead to buy-in. I get it. As someone who has followed in the footsteps of other leaders, you have ideas and other things that you want to implement throughout the transition. And more than likely, some of these changes need to be made. And believe it or not, people want to hear them, but they want to be heard first. They want the opportunity to ask their questions and to speak up. If you, as the new leader or the transition team, are willing to ask questions and listen, people will be ready to listen when it's your turn to talk. When someone asks a question, they're revealing what they think and what they feel. And as leaders, we want to know these things. We want to be attuned to them. We need to hear their input and to hear their questions. Allowing others to ask questions creates an opportunity to reinforce the vision and the values of where you want to lead the church or organization next. However, if you're insecure as a leader, you will confuse being asked a question with being questioned. Valuing questions can help you solve problems and discover the correct answers that really everybody wants. To understand what people think, you have to ask them. Rarely are they just going to speak up and share their ideas openly unless they're given opportunity from those in leadership positions. People always have questions, especially during change and transition. As leaders, it's important to take a proactive approach and to provide opportunities for those who need to ask questions. The fourth principle is that a process will help ensure long-term stability and success. Process is a series of steps and structure taken to achieve a desired outcome. You, your team, and those you're leading need stability during change. Often, even when there's been plans leading up to a change, it feels very disruptive and things can feel unsettling. Using a process and communicating about it can help stabilize things for the entire group throughout the change. Most of the times, things seem to be working fine the way they are. We become comfortable and we get used to things working a certain way. Therefore, when things happen, it disrupts what has become routine. Defining, utilizing, and adhering to a process during church change and pastoral transition will provide security and help people feel safe during seemingly unstable times. The fifth and maybe the most important principle is to not take preferences personal during a leadership transition. During a leadership or pastoral transition, you've got to keep in mind that not everyone is going to like every decision. Most people will be kind to you, some people will become your biggest fan, and others will prefer for things to just stay the same. When you're in the middle of a church transition, you're probably going to hear things like, well, he did things this way, or her personality was like this, or his preaching just had a way of speaking right to me. All of this is normal and to be expected. Everyone has preferences, and so do you. The differences between the previous leader and the new successor do not determine if the organization and church can cohesively and effectively work together with the new leader. The determining factor is if you're willing to get to know each other. Are you willing to try? Are you willing to work to stay positive? Can both sides stay open to having conversations? Are you willing to see things from someone else's perspective? Being able to answer yes to these types of questions are the determining factors of the success of the organization moving forward. Some people will answer no and will be unwilling, and you have to let them walk. Love them, pray for them, be there for them if they come back, but understand that some people are going to say no. And if you take other people's preferences as personal insult, you'll begin to harbor unhealthy thoughts about them and about yourself. And this mindset will halt progress. You'll feel paralyzed. You'll be afraid to make decisions, and you'll carry a chip on your shoulder. You'll feel tempted to either put the previous leader down or to make yourself look better. Take the high road. Always choose to honor during a leadership or pastoral transition. The other temptation that new leaders will experience is to feel less than because they're not the other person. Both mindsets and perspectives are wrong and unnecessary. Leaders can avoid both traps by intentionally reminding themselves that preferences are not personal. Hey, if these 5 tips helped you, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which tip you found the most helpful. Are you experiencing decision fatigue? Get the free guide in the description to help you empower your team to make better leadership decisions by asking 3 simple questions. Hey, this is Evan. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.